This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner, MBE, on Absolute Radio with the commoner, Emily Dean, and the colonial, Pierre Novelli. You can text the show at 81215, follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk.
I mean, wow.
Can you believe it?
No, I can't believe I'm a commoner.
No. I know, it is shocking. If someone came in here and said, spot the commoner,
Yeah.
I don't think you'd be the first choice, but you know.
You are, I have to say, Frank, worryingly good at keeping secrets, I'm discovering.
Ah, yes.
Because, I mean, I would have had it everywhere, wouldn't you, Pierre? It would have been on the correspondence cards already. The
Well,
credit card would have been changed.
The quote that people have used mainly, I've noticed, in when they talk about veteran comic Frank Skinner getting an MBE, is that I said I didn't tell anyone because I was concerned it might be an administrative error, but it wasn't a joke. I actually did think, what could be worse, as Oliver Hardy would say, than to tell everyone you've got an MBE, and then it was like the man who did Skinner's dog food, you know, that thing for working dogs. and on the day, like my heart has always bled for the woman from Rod Stewart's Hot Legs video, whose only her legs appear. Imagine she said to her mum and dad, I'm going to be in the Rod Stewart video, really excited, family gather round, MTV that night, and then it's just her legs. So I didn't want to be that girl.
No, you didn't want to be. I know someone who was airbrushed off a magazine cover once.
Exactly.
That's not.
There's many slip twixt cop and lip. That's the way I saw it. So eventually I thought I'd better tell my partner. I'll tell her the day before. I was anxious about telling Kath because...
Why?
Well, as you know, she's the woman who, when I said I was playing at the Albert Hall in front of the Queen and said, do you want to come? And she said, who else is on? So she keeps my feet on the ground, I think. Some might say my face. She keeps my face on the ground. No, so I told Kath, I said, look, I've got an award. And she said, oh, what is it? I said, it's an MBE. And she said, well, what do you think about that? I thought, I said, I'm pleased about it. And she went, oh, okay. How was that? That was that conversation out the way.
Did she seriously respond?
She honestly did, yeah.
That's
I love her.
That's like a teacher. So how do you think that exam went?
Exactly. But what was I supposed to say?
I tell you what it is as well, Pierre. It's when people come to the show and say afterwards, how did you think it went?
Oh, no. Famously, of course, the go back after the show and say, well, you've done it again, is the famous one, which is...
She's saving that up for when you get the OBE.
Yeah, exactly. So it was... other than that, I got lots of very, very nice texts from people in this room. On the day, I was once incarcerated in a house for 3 days. And if you remember, there was a programme called The Bobble.
Oh, yeah, you did it with Vicky Corrin, didn't you?
I did it. Yeah. I did it twice. The first time with Vicky Corrin. No, the one that went out was with I never call her Vicky. Actually, it was Victoria Corrin Mitchell and Reg D
Hunter.
Oh, yeah, and. The idea is you're locked away in a house for like 3 days with no phone, no telephone, no radio. And when you come out, they ask you news stories, whether they're real or not real. And when we got our phones back, the researcher handed my phone back, reeling. She was reeling. And she said, I just wanted to say you've been away for 4 days and you've had... 4 texts and 3 emails in that time. And of course, I said, "Well, I've told people I wouldn't be a vet, but I thought, no, that's my average. That's nicely averaged out." But on the day it was announced, I got like 70 texts and emails, and I thought, how do popular people get anything done?
It's a nightmare.
Yeah. So you know when they say that success makes people unpopular, I think being unpopular might make people successful because they got more time on their hands. It's honestly, I answered them all, you know. But gosh,
Did you? Oh, that's adorable.
Full-time job. People I hadn't heard of from like 25 years. Still not paying them back.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So yes, we're talking about the royal story everyone's talking about.
Yep.
My MBE.
Well, Ruth Jordan, just to interject here, one of our regulars. Good to hear Kath is keeping Frank's feet on the ground.
Yes.
Remember, Frank, you ain't no Tontonomo Sharif.
No, that. I think he actually said sheriff.
Yes, she did say sheriff.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but pronounce it properly.
No.
Seriously, though, Frank, we love you. Praise redacted.
Oh, that's lovely.
We've had all sorts of people getting in touch. I can't even. But just one notable I'd like to mention is the Pope's Grotto Trust.
Okay.
Many congratulations to Frank on the radio from all of us here at Pope's Grotto Preservation Trust.
Fantastic.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I was in there not long ago.
Whatever that is, it's wonderful.
The grotto.
I know it is Alexander Pope.
Yeah, he had a grotto.
Yeah.
Alexander Pope, in order to save himself he was an 18th century poet, in case you don't know him, he bought a plot of land that had a main road going through the middle of it. So he didn't want to be waiting for carriages to go past to get into his garden. So he built a tunnel underneath the road, and then he thought, I could do something with this tunnel. I don't want to leave it like some sort of urban subway, he thought to himself. And so he covered it in the inside of it in minerals and stuff like that. Friends would bring him. I mean, friends did things that you wouldn't want to do. Now they brought him like a big chunk of the Giant's Causeway back, and he stuck that on the wall. But he used to do light shows in there, so it was all a bit Jean-Michel Jarre in Pope's Grotto.
Oh, that's a nice idea, though. If you live sort of like on the other side of a dual carriageway or something, do you think you could do that? You might have to get the planning permission these days.
Yeah, you probably would nowadays. You don't want to weaken the structure of the road.
No, or sort of take a chunk of the White Cliffs of Dover and sellotape it on.
He set up a camera obscura in there, in fact. So I think through the keyhole, with the addition of a few mirrors, you could watch the boats going down the Thames on the wall of his grotto.
God.
What a guy he was.
The original man's cave.
Yes. Absolutely brilliant summary. And I wish you'd been with me on the documentary for that line. Is it too late to add it?
Did he have a sort of helmet with two sort of drink holders and straws going into his mouth, but they were full of claret or cognac or something?
And everyone who came in had to be called bro. He had all sorts of rules.
Yeah,
Frank,
canary wine, that's what always gets referred to in that. You read it. And I had not a flagon, and we drank canary wine. What is that?
It must be from the Canaries.
Yellow stuff.
Yellow, yeah.
Pierre asked a question, and I quite liked it. Frank said during the break, we'll discuss this, because you'd like to save things for our listeners, which I really like. How did you hear the news?
Well, you get an email.
You do.
So an email just comes, a random email from the Honours and Appointments Secretariat, which I thought I was had got a contact from Soviet Russia. And
Comrade.
yeah, it's from the cabinet offices was the sort of address on the email. And I thought, I imagine them with a big map. A massive map pushing like an MBE there and a knighthood over there.
Battle of Britain.
I would have been suspicious. It wasn't like MBE's at Waitrose.com or something, was it? It was a proper email
I was
address.
going to say that
It could have been a scam.
My suspicions would have been just $10,000 transferred to this
Oh, yes, exactly.
Western bank account.
Oh, Mark, fabulous news. I've won a Nigerian MBE.
But You've got to get someone's brother out of the country first, remember.
So anyway, well, I'll tell you in a minute
Oh, okay.
what it said.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
You know what I love? The pause. You've now got an inbuilt pause into your
Frank
name.
Skinner, MBE, a caesura, as they call it in poetry. So, so I got my email from the Honours and Appointments Secretariat, and they did a bit of a teaser on me. Can you believe it? I never associate the Cabinet Office with a teaser. But
Well, how are you addressed, dear sir?
I wrote this down. It said, this is what the main email said. Please find an important letter regarding the 2023 New Year's Honours list attached to this email. So it doesn't tell you on the main email. You've got to go into the attachment. And I thought, what if I just got in it had said, Brian May got a knighthood? Just saying. And it was just gossip. I thought that would be so cruel because they've really built my hopes up. So you go into it and there's a form to fill in. You have to fill a form in. They say congratulations and all that. Fill this form in. It says paying particular attention to the spelling of your name. And I thought, you could Google me. And the main thing, then you have to highlight every square that's got a palace in it to show that you're not a robot. No, I made that bit up. But so that's the thing, that you have to open the attachment, and then it tells you, and then you have to fill in a form and send that off.
And then does it ask for your credit card details?
Yeah.
your
Yeah,
dates
well,
of birth?
I know it's a
It
worry.
sounds like such a scam, Frank.
Yeah.
Also, I thought, check the spelling. Why do you Google me? Just Google me and then make it a big surprise on the day. Anyway, it didn't happen.
What happens if it goes to spam? Do they try again? Do they ring
Oh,
you?
yeah. What if it had gone to junk? Man, I hadn't thought of that. Also, they use the word investiture a lot in the... and then we'll be in touch about your investiture. All right.
Oh, Frank.
Speak soon. No, so I was... that you can see why my doubt set in.
Yeah.
Because it just didn't feel fair. I thought, when you have those blokes associated with the Royals and they play a very long bugle, but it's not just a horn thing, but it's got like it's got drapery hanging from it. You know what I mean? It's got like a big tapestry on it.
Yeah, there's a banner element.
Yeah, I thought.
Oh, I love that. It unfurls. It's got like a mini...
It's a bugle pennant. I thought there'd be a man with a bugle pen would turn up.
Yeah.
I didn't think it'd be an email saying, can you fill this form in and make sure you spell your name right?
There'd be a knock on the door and marks would be left by the heavy rings of whatever equerry was.
Exactly. Black Watch, I thought would come round.
I want horses. I want livery.
But no, it's very, very understated, the whole...
So when you responded, were you just thinking...
Well, the letter said to Christopher Graham Collins, which is my birth name, and I thought, well, don't give him... What's he getting one for? What, having sherry for breakfast? It's got him an MBE. So I thought, I hope they don't announce it as Christopher Graham Collins. That's going to be...
A head scratcher for the public.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
You don't want the GC being announced.
Yeah, I don't want
as they call him.
my former landlady tracking me down after my rather abrupt exit. So I filled in the form, and it's one of those things when you have to sign it, and you have to sign online. One of those things.
Oh, I would have wanted my signature right for that, because that could end up on royal documentation, Frank.
I know, but it's not easy with your finger. You have to sign with your finger.
Oh, did you do that?
Yeah, I don't have a stylus at my at the
How did
ready.
it look? All right.
No, it didn't look anything like it.
It's all pixelated and blocky.
Yeah.
Oh.
It looked more like Grayson Perry. Oh, I don't know if that's where the mix-up came.
Oh, the Perry boy, he got one.
Yes.
What about Sir Brian Harold May? Harold.
Is that his middle name?
Yes.
Do you know Brian May?
Not personally.
Well, thanks for the tip. That was the punchline. Just helping.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
by the way, I think my the family reaction, my son, who's 10 and a half, Bars, it was slightly, the excitement was slightly undermined that he got a response from a comment he'd made about a Metal Dad YouTube video. I don't know if you're aware of Metal Dad. Metal Dad is a large man, I think that's the word we have to use nowadays, who sits in one of those Parker Knoll chairs in his socks and plays fantastic heavy metal guitar riffs. Right. And Buzz sent him a comment on YouTube about Iron Maiden. He said, this guy said, I remember when I first saw Iron Maiden. And Buzz said, I'm going to see him this year. That'll be the first time I've seen him. And Metal Dad responded, and Buzz was much more excited than he was about the MBE. I mean, much, much more.
Is Metal Dad a YouTube sensation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm getting involved.
Check him out.
I'm getting involved. Is he UK based?
No, he's a USA.
Oh, okay.
I was picturing a very American sort of living room when you were describing.
Yes,
Yes.
he's what I think you might call in America. He doesn't just play floor fillers; he is one.
Oh.
So he's a big. He looks like a big old dad.
Yeah.
Which I assume what he is, but he
Yeah.
plays an amazing axe.
Oh.
Is he what a lady on a holiday once referred to her partner this way? Is he? We have an hombre grande with us.
Oh yes, he is an hombre
He's
grande.
an hombre
Okay.
grande.
Very, very much so. So I think the highlight of my whole MBE experience, I won't go on about this forever, I probably will refer to it occasionally, is that I was in Mass on Sunday morning and the priest said, right at the end of the Mass, our PP, the parish priest, said, and we've got some lovely news to end with. One of our parishioners, as he said, has received an award from the sovereign. That's what he said. And
Sounds like a part of the Canterbury Tales.
yeah, and I thought he won't name me, but he did name me. I was there, and everybody applauded, and I have to stand there while no one else was. Everyone else was applauding. It was great. I think it's the first time I've blushed since the 70s. But it was great.
I love one of our parishioners. It's like sort of Cranford or something.
I know, yeah. But it was lovely. I did like that.
I'm so thrilled for you. I was genuinely so happy, Frank. But I'm sorry.
There's always a big but with Emily.
There is in my house. I do. There's just one thing out of deep friendship and love. I say this,
Okay.
and you know it's never good after that.
No, I'm braced. I'm in the brace position.
I just would ask if we could have just a brief consultation about attire
Well,
prior to the ceremony, because I've just got concerns. You've got a jacket. It's a Karamak Life on Mars leather jacket.
no, you have to go to Moss Bros and you have to wear the old, the top hat and tails thing. I think that's the
I'm
idea.
getting married in the morning.
Yeah, exactly. I might be singing that.
Just
so, yeah,
don't
that'll
wear the leather jacket, please.
be good. Okay, I won't. Can I say also, John Lennon, of course, claimed that they smoked marijuana in the toilets at Buckingham Palace, which the other Beatles said, we seem to have forgotten that. So we'll never know. But I should say congratulations. This is me saying I'm going to stop talking about the MBE net. But congratulations to Yolanda Brown from Jazz FM, who also got an MBE and who has interviewed me and who I've interviewed and who is very, very lovely. And I've also seen her entertain at a whole bunch of kids at the O2 Centre. She's fantastic. So some people deserved it.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
Yeah, I feel happy that I've plugged Metal Dad on the programme.
Yeah. Well, it's amazing to think that you get these comments and they can be replied to, and it is a real thrill. But I've speaking as someone who's put his own stand-up on YouTube,
Oh, yes.
long form as well, over about an hour of it, I got a comment. I'd done a sort of routine about sort of gaining a lot of weight and how that feels, and just as a part of a silly joke, oh, your shoes feel tighter,
Yeah.
silly imagery. And there was one of the comments addressing that saying, "Pray it isn't gout."
Wow.
All right, Henry VIII.
Good to...
It was the most professed reaction to a stand-up.
I think people with gout, in my experience, they don't. I think it's one of those things where people. I'm amazed we've gone this far following the G word without someone saying apparently it's really painful. That is what you have to say about gout, as if it's exclusively painful.
It doesn't sneak up on you.
Yeah, so gouties tend not to be light-hearted about it. I find.
Well,
I think they're called gouties.
Gouties.
Or are they
my
gouters?
boy.
It's a difficult.
A goutee is what people from your neck of the woods call a sort of musketeer's facial hair, isn't it?
Exactly.
My boy, Hank Wheat, was rather a cheery chap.
Hank Wheat.
Oh, yes.
I don't know who
Henry
that is.
VIII.
Oh,
Yes.
I see. I thought he was some big corn billionaire.
Yeah.
I'm afraid it's my father used to refer to Henry V as Hank Sahank.
Did he?
Yes.
Did
that's
he ever say Stratford upon
No.
I'm glad to hear that.
But Hank Wheat, he was, I would say he's in the gout suffering chair. Henry VIII.
With his leg up.
Well, I don't know
Yeah.
about that.
Was that, had they already started putting the giant bandage on in those days, or is that something that came with Hal Roach films?
I'm afraid there was a story which, I don't know. Obviously, none of us know. But apparently when they opened the casket, I'm afraid the smell was... things were in a terrible state as a result.
Don't open the casket, though. That's always my
Never open
advice.
it, Frank. Frank, we've heard from John Hopkins.
Can I, sorry, speaking of the band, while we're on the bandage front, I'm sure I've mentioned on the show before, but maybe Pierre doesn't know that one of my dreams is to sit in a dentist's waiting room with a bandage round my face, knotted on top of the head. I wonder if anyone's actually ever done that. That would make me so happy. It's the little things in life. Sorry,
Hopkins.
Hopkins.
Congratulations to Frank on his well-deserved award.
Big.
It got me wondering, though, is Frank the first person to win Rear of the Year and get an MBE? What an illustrious club that must be.
I would be surprised if that's the case.
Borders?
I don't know if Borders did it, but when I shared, every year it's a man and a woman for balance. And I got it with Carol Smiley. I would be surprised if Carol Smiley hasn't got some sort of honour.
Is your form
Now,
of
Carol, definitely Carol.
Is your form of address technically now Frank Skinner RY MBE?
Well, because of Read of the Year. No, I don't. I'm quite modest about it. You should see the award I got. It's the biggest award I've ever got for anything. It's like the ladies' singles plate at Wimbledon. It's a massive silver plate.
Really?
Yeah, engraved, beautifully engraved. Yeah, they really the rolls on the R's, as it were, are beautiful.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner MBE on Absolute Radio with Emily. I'm going to do it this week. This week I'm going to do it every time.
Okay.
With Emily Dean and Pierre Novelli. You can text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via frank@absoluteradio.co.uk. I watched a documentary about Henry VIII. Well, actually, it was more about Cromwell, Thomas Cromwell. And the guy who did it is quite a well-known academic historian. He wrote a big fat book about the Reformation and stuff. And
Did he call it the big fat
I was
book
gonna
about the
say,
Reformation?
yeah, I wish he had called it that.
Yeah.
That would have drawn me in, because I'd have thought I was getting my money's worth. But he insisted through an hour-long BBC4 documentary on saying Anne Boleyn.
Oh, no.
Yeah, and he was up. I mean, this is obviously something this is not a bloke who wouldn't be using the word Anne Boleyn regularly. He obviously thinks that's wrong, Anne Boleyn.
Yes, he's obviously consulted the texts and he's decided we're all wrong.
Yeah, he's seen the original.
I like him. He's quite a contrarian. I think he might be a nice friend for you, Frank. It's the sort of thing you do. May I present Star Wars?
Yes.
Oh, well. I'd love to see you present Star Wars. Anyway, we haven't talked. I talked about all the emails and texts I got.
Yes.
But my favourite email that I got over the whole Christmas period was nothing to do with the MBE. It was from my dear friend Baroness Bakewell, who sent me an email that said, "I'm watching the World Cup. Would you mind explaining the term assist?" I loved it. I sent back quite an elaborate explanation with examples.
Yeah, that's sort of like commentary via Telegram or something, isn't it?
Oh, I love it when a dame texts an MBE.
Yeah.
Well, there's so many people just assume that you know this. Like,
But that shows why she's such an intelligent woman.
Yeah,
because she is not afraid to ask questions.
Not afraid to ask. I agree with that. Well, I don't want an answer to this, but why is there so much stuff on the news about American politics? And am I supposed to understand the midterms and the votes for the... What is he? The
For the
speaker.
speaker, yeah.
Please don't get me on the caucuses, because I haven't got time.
Exactly, the caucuses. Who cares about that stuff? I'm fine for them to care. Do you think they have stuff about by-elections and stuff on American television?
Yeah.
Definitely not.
We're live from Hartlepool,
Yeah.
where the local council is... Yeah, I don't think so.
I think you'll find it's Hartlepool.
Hartlepool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, go
And
on.
now for viewers, what is an alderman? It's they don't. No, nor should they care.
No.
So don't keep telling us about the midterms. Shut up about it.
If I want to know that, I just
I
ask
want to
Pierre.
know. I want to know who the president is, and if he says anything very significant, fine. I don't want to know about the 14 attempts to get the speaker of the.
No. In terms of
Shut up.
in terms of mispronounced names,
Yeah.
the guy for whom Mount Everest is named apparently spent his whole life really tetchily correcting people because it's Everest.
Really.
And so his greatest monument is...
Can I say he's fighting a losing battle there?
Eventually, you have to give up.
Yeah.
Don't you? Jimmy Hill, the famous football pundit, stuck with Cantona for about half a season with Eric Cantona before he did give in the end.
I like when you stick with it.
Bolin, come off it. Anyway, we should talk Christmas, New Year, and that's what we normally do on this show. If there hasn't been some enormous other event that's happened to distract us from our business,
I was going to say.
our basic business.
I mean,
know, of
what
course,
meagre offerings have we got?
Yeah, well, come on, guys.
Well,
don't
where
feel
were
bad
our
about
men
it.
in gold capes with orbs calling us?
Well, I haven't had that yet. I'll
Noel Edmonds
I'll
has.
keep you posted on the investiture. That'll be a whole episode. I don't know who's doing it. Let's hope it's not Sophie Wessex. #Orcs.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Bilbo Bakewell
Oh, yes.
has been in touch. I just wanted to say thank you for mentioning Metal Dad. I've never heard of him before, but I looked him up and he's brilliant, and he now has one new subscriber. I can totally see why Buzz likes him.
I've made a terrible error now because everyone, instead of listening to the show, is on YouTube watching Metal Dad do...
Okay.
Anyway, God bless him.
Yeah.
He did reply. Not everyone does.
Did he? Oh,
He
yeah,
replied
he
to-
did.
yeah,
Isn't
he
that
did.
lovely?
He said that's very exciting for you and all that stuff, polite, nice dad stuff is what he did. Well, did you get any good presents?
A stack of books to add to the unread stack of books.
That's always good. I don't think you need to read books. It's just nice to have them around.
Yeah.
I got pink pyjamas, I got pink sweater, I got pink fluffy slippers, I got pink satin rollers for my hair, and I got a chocolate fox marshmallow thing, which I thought was to eat, but it was actually to put in a hot chocolate drink, and I ate it.
It wasn't pink.
No.
Oh.
Awkward.
But was it okay to eat?
No. Not
So
really.
you melt it into hot
you
chocolate.
get, what are they called? They're like special melty. They're very millennial
It's
Gen
like
Z things.
A bath, like a Volpine bath bomb.
Well, that leads to a lot of confusion, the whole bath bomb thing.
Yeah.
But I was a bit desperate on the way home, and I thought, all this chocolate will be
I've
good.
used that on tour a few times. Not on the last tour. I'll get Pierre to vouch. Carry on.
Not during the MBE year.
No.
And I got desperate. But apparently, this chocolate is meant to be. You're meant to place it in a mug and pour hot water over it, and then
I wonder where they got the idea for that from.
the chocolate fox will then explode, and the
Okay.
marshmallows, and it will all be lovely. But I sort of think, why is it people react in horror when you say, "Oh, I ate it"? But you're not meant to eat it, apparently, are
No.
you? Why not? Is it different chocolate?
Well, when I was a kid, I ate a lot of jelly. But I don't mean in the bowl. I mean when it was in its raw form. You know, it comes in like a bar.
Was it little squares?
Yes.
Yes.
And I'd say, you know, can I have a square of jelly? Because we can still make jelly with the remaindings. And then, you know what it's like? You have another square.
Yeah.
You have another, then they've got you.
You're having
was-
sort of elemental jelly, like in its purest.
Yeah.
State.
And it's much chewier.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not, it hasn't been watered down.
Oh, I did get something else pink. I got a pink dog poo bag holder from Gucci.
Oh,
That's
Very
nice.
fancy.
that is nice.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah. Do you mean holder as in when you have them in your pocket in anticipation, or holder as when you walk along carrying them? Like you are paying the ransom for a 16th century nobleman. You know that? You know that thing when you're just walking along with a bag of poo. People without dogs think, whoa, that's
Yeah.
why I don't have a dog, because you have to walk along with that little pouch of
Yes.
poo.
Yeah.
And sometimes
Swinging.
Oh, and what about when you run into someone who you maybe, and this is very embarrassing, when you just see them and they haven't clocked the dog, especially not in my dog's case because he's very small, and you're just forever that woman who smells vaguely
Oh,
unpleasant because you haven't found a bin yet.
Yes.
And you have the exchange and you're just thinking,
don't
like,
you not?
yes, of course I not, but sometimes the aroma escapes.
Does it through a knot?
I'm here to tell
I
you
use
it
a
does.
Windsor. Can't get through a Windsor, I tell you.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Dear all, this is 619. I was at school with Martin Afire, always
Oh,
known
yeah.
to all as pronounced Ophir. As soon as he made it big in rugby league, he became Afire,
Yeah,
which is
but
what I went for. Surely, so he could therefore take the nickname Chariots afterwards.
right.
He will always be a fear to me.
Okay, yeah, I can see why if you're a rugby star, fire is more appealing than fear, isn't it? I think he probably. I think what didn't he have a nickname? Also, there was something to do with just fire and fury
Yes.
and being powerful. Although I
No.
like Chariots, it's good.
Chariots is a great
Chariots
nickname.
at 1 a.m. That's what. That should have been one of his.
That's what you're
notes.
going to be getting. You'll be invited to those kind of receptions now.
I don't
Frank.
think he won't change me. He won't change me, Bab.
You'll keep working.
Yeah, exactly.
Did you see? I will stop talking about it probably in September, maybe.
Okay.
But what about when Frank gave a statement? Did you read, Pierre? He said, "Oh, well, I'm in a very fortunate position. It won't go to my head because everyone I surround myself with keeps me very firmly on the ground."
Did I say that?
Yeah, something like that. I added tone. Why not?
Yeah. Well, that was proved very correct. So listen, for Christmas, here's my list. I got a notebook, salt and vinegar flavoured pork scratchings, some gingerbread chocolate, and a Basildon Bond writing set. What do you think?
Pretty good.
Not a bad haul.
More pens.
I mean, what do I think?
Yeah.
I think it's
can I say, by the way?
it's the sort of thing a 7-year-old tells you.
Yeah.
Especially
Jane,
with the, what do you think?
I don't think a 7-year-old be happy with that list. They'd want an Xbox
Would they?
console
Is that what they want now?
operation.
Fortnite?
Yes.
They like that?
I got a lovely present from Jane Appleton from Leatherhead.
Oh.
I think she's either from Leatherhead or that's how she's generally known. Maybe she's a Mexican wrestler, Jane Appleton. But anyway, or one of those very old people who live at the seaside. You know what I mean? Who get like they look like they've been tanned. So I was talking about the 4-colour pen and how it's changed my life. You know, when you slide down the colour. And she's sent me a lovely little gift pack of I think it's 3 or 4, and a big multicolour pen. That'll last me for the whole of 23. Thanks, Jane.
And what did the box say?
Is this a new section on the show called Things I've Got?
Yeah. What?
Personal gift.
Oh, yes, it said personal gift on the box, which Jane had written, I think. I like that, so it didn't get mixed up with my business gifts.
Yes.
Whatever they
Well, we have to say as well, hashtag gifted, don't you? Do you know they do that on Instagram, Frank?
Oh, yes.
Celebrities, when they get freebies, I think it's if you've got over 30,000 followers or something, you have to say, what is it? The producer will know. Hashtag free gift.
Ad.
Hashtag ad. Hashtag paid.
I was going to say, I've been using hashtag gifted for years. I didn't realise it also meant that.
Frank Skinner.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
What did Pierre get for Christmas is what I'd like to know.
Well, he got a load of books.
Oh, yeah, he
Name
got
us
the books.
one book.
Yeah.
Name us one.
You don't have to say the best, because then you'll offend other people.
David Sedaris diaries
Okay.
up till sort of almost modern day,
Yeah.
Okay.
almost contemporary.
Lovely.
I think every year I get something Sedaris.
Do you have different traditions on the Isle of Man?
Yes, yeah. There's.
Did you go back to the Isle of Man?
I did, yeah. 'Cause my parents are still there, so I
It
go.
won't be called that much longer, will it?
Why? Oh, yeah. Isle of
It's a bit
People.
unwoke, yeah.
What will they call it? Isle of the People.
Isle of everyone.
Isle of Person, it would have to be.
Oh,
wouldn't
yeah,
it?
okay.
Well, man is short for Manannan.
Which is means what?
It's a sort of the local votive Celtic god,
Oh, okay.
sea god.
What, you're allowed to abbreviate the god's name?
Yes.
He's a bit cash
Very
back and
casual.
He's a bit Martin of Fire.
he's a bit informal walkabout, isn't he? The local god.
Yeah, Isle of Bob.
Oh, I don't approve of that. I don't want the RT for Artemis.
What's he called? What's he called? The god?
Manannan.
Manannan, and he's the god of the Isle of Man.
Yes, and the sea.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't. What's his culture?
What's his culture?
Where does Neptune and all those fit in with him? Is he?
He's technically Manannan Maclear, Lear being the real god of the sea, so he's the son of the god of the sea, so a Hercules figure.
Okay, fair enough.
But he's sort of a god as well. Herky.
Yeah,
Okay.
he's sort of Jamie Redknapp.
Yes,
Okay.
that's how we think of him. You've seen the runestones then.
Could have been the Isle of Jab.
Oh.
Anyway, how was it?
Good, windy and cold.
Do you eat the same food as us on the Isle of Man?
We try to.
Okay.
Can I say I'm not a fan of Sedaris? Remember you took me to see him once.
You didn't like it.
No,
Well, he didn't.
I've never
He was-
seen him live.
He was at the Edinburgh Festival, and my problem with him was he didn't. I thought he was a famous wit, and he read from his book, but he didn't. There was no asides the only talking was him reading from his book. It was all totally scripted.
Yeah.
I felt a bit let down by Sedaris.
I know, but you're very high bar, Frank. I mean, he can't be. He's not there. He's a writer. He's not there to do, stand
No, I know that.
But you do know it. But I think you are very good at thinking on your feet. Okay.
But he's
Not
a
all are.
famous wit.
Written only.
Yeah, Ritwit.
In
He's a
parentheses.
ritwit. What an incredibly damning term to make up. I thought he was funny. Well, he's a ritwit.
He's a
Bit of a
ritwit.
Ritwit, isn't he? Sedaris. He sounds more like a god of the sea than Mangum.
Than man.
The man, as I call him.
I don't think man. I think man needs to workshop the nickname as well. It's a bit funny, isn't it?
It must have
Manny.
been.
Manny would have been better.
Were people very offended when Man Oh Man was on the telly?
I won't know what that is.
What?
Can you explain Man Oh Man?
Man Oh Man was a. Can I? Men. It was a sort of a.
One of our friends.
It was a
lovely friends
classic
produced
example of. It's all right when they do it. It was men basically being chosen by women. But sometimes they'd have their shirts off and
I'll
stuff.
tell you
wouldn't
exactly
they?
what happened. Chris Tarrant was the host.
Yeah.
And every week, I mean, you knew there was going to be trouble because it was set on, there was water everywhere. There was sort of a moat, wasn't there? And basically...
It was like Sing. It was that. We're back to that water tank in Sing.
The women would choose the men they liked, and the men they didn't like, the men were standing there. It was quite humiliating. I don't think they had tops on, Frank. And they had a number. Must have really hurt them, because how they stuck the number on the chest, I don't know. But they would say no, and they would push them in to the water.
I
they didn't like them.
Okay.
It was boiling water. Did she mention that? Just literally, you could see it bubbling up.
Is Chris Tarrant hosting?
Yeah, Chris Tarrant.
Yeah.
Did he? If someone selected a particularly sexy man, would he say, "But I don't want to give you that"? And sort of remove the man and suggest an even better one.
What was
Sadly,
Man
no,
Oh
I
Man
think
a pun on?
I think it was an Island Man God reference.
Well, they would sacrifice.
Why do you think they were pushed into water?
Yes, that's it.
It all makes absolute sense. Obviously, it was that. They were men of manner.
Well, we know the producer, Spencer, I think. He's one of our friends.
Oh,
He
yeah.
can tell us if he's listening.
Well, friend stretching it. And I've worked with
he's
him.
a lovely boy.
I'm not saying he isn't lovely, but you know what I mean.
Okay.
Did I get a message from him about my MBE? Did I buffalo?
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
Apparently, I've been hearing, and we're getting this in on Twitter. I mean, this news just in. The Venerable Bede got some stick on an episode. Martin Gardner's got in touch about this. When people contact you now, they always refer to the MBE, which I
Okay.
like. The Venerable Bede got some stick on a Detectorists special. So if we could get... Yeah, apparently he's been... I like that he's getting more prominence. You've made him... Oh, you've given him a little second wind.
Do you think I've raised him up, the Venerable Bede?
And we've also had 805...
Hold on, I have to say, I haven't seen the Detectorist special. I love the Detectorists. But I should be sad if they've... that's one of those complicated moments when someone you love slags off someone you love, you know that?
Yeah.
I like that you felt you had to make an official...
You know what I'm talking about, Harry?
What are we going to do? That's awkward, isn't it?
What's that?
Oh, the whole Harry thing. I don't know what to do.
Well, it'll work itself out. I've
don't
just
think
been
it will.
reading some stuff, coincidentally, about Edward VIII, you know, who abdicated.
Breaking news.
No, but he there's so many comparisons.
Yeah.
It's really it's interesting. In case you don't know, he quit the throne because he could not go on, as he said, without the woman he loved, who was, you know, American, wasn't very popular,
Divorcee.
twice divorcee.
Oh.
Apparently a morganatic marriage was suggested.
Morganatic,
Well, I just remember
presided over by Piers Morgan. I don't know if Meghan would go for that, would she? You could ask. It's no harm in asking.
a morganatic brackets live and unleashed marriage was suggested.
What does that mean?
A morganatic marriage, Pierre, you're going to have to help me out. But I remember learning that in history. It's a kind of marriage, it's some special kind of marriage. I never did discover, I managed to get through history and I never quite discovered what it means. So there's a challenge.
Well, one of our readers will know
They'll
for
know.
an absolute certainty.
What
Do
do
you
you-
know, Pierre?
I think I know.
Oh, lovely.
Oh, yeah, you think you... Well,
What
we're
do
not-
you think it means, Frank?
I've never even heard of it before. I've no idea. So I'm not even going to try and guess. Do you want to have a guess, Pierre?
Come on, Pierre.
If it's like a sort of another way of saying matrilineal, where the children are seen to be part of the mother's house, not the father's, so they have no right to any titles. They inherit nothing from the father's side.
Okay.
So it could be a way of excluding the awkward children from that, or I'm not sure.
Did Mrs. Simpson have children from her previous marriages?
No.
I'm not sure. I don't think so.
No. Famously, no.
Back when you
Okay.
could be called Wallace
Yeah.
as a lady.
Yeah. Well, they called him. His nickname was Grommy, and that's how the Wallace
where
and
it's
Grommy.
from?
That's where it comes from. Yeah. No, he's correct.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Listen. That's not a very professional way to start the link, is it?
Well,
Listen.
I would say this beginning of this hour has been slightly lacking in
I mean, we
professionalism.
started by going,
Yeah, I know.
It's quite Rodney Dangerfield sort of comedy throat clearing, sort of loosening the tie.
Does he do that?
Oh,
George Formby's father, who was a musical performer, who had quite a bad...
Hey, we've still got you with us, Jen
He had
Zedis.
quite a bad chest thing just from poverty. And he used to... I'm coughing well tonight. It used to be his catchphrase. But it was a catchphrase that had to happen because he did cough all the time because he was so...
So it's retroactively necessary.
Yeah, exactly. I'm
Listen.
still coughing. I'm never drinking.
This is my new catchphrase. Listen.
I reached across for the cup of tea that wasn't there.
Sounds like the Frank Skinner MBE poetry podcast. Joe Duckett
All right.
has
This
asked...
better not be a poem.
No, it's another congratulatory missive. But in answer to your question, Joe, no, I will not be curtsying whenever Frank enters the studio from now on.
When did you last curtsy, Emily?
It's like a name of a painting.
When did you last bow, Pierre?
Was
Did I last
it?
bow?
It was at Buckingham Palace.
Was it really?
I think it was.
Was it for Meghan Markle?
No, this was for a garden party, but I did it in a sort of vague, because I wasn't sure whether I wasn't being directly introduced, but I felt as I was in the presence of Her late Majesty, I should do a vague gesture towards that.
Oh, I see.
I wouldn't be 100% certain of the curtsy and I think, is it right behind left?
I know exactly what to do.
Okay.
Because I saw Carol Vorderman showing how it should be done. I think it was her on a TV show over the Christmas period.
Okay.
She did it so well.
And did she offer a sort of mathematical geometric analysis of how it was done? I hope so.
I don't know the last time I bowed. Karate lessons. When I was sort of 13 or something.
Fair enough.
That's probably the last time.
That used to be one of those facts that everyone knew, and I've never been completely convinced by. That something like 12 people a year in Japan are taken into hospital with bowing-related injuries.
Oh, sort of lower back stuff.
Or clash of heads.
Oh, God, right, of course. I
Yeah.
hadn't thought of that.
Is that true? If anyone knows if that's true, I'd love to hear. Did I get a cup of tea and I've drunk it? Or did I just not get one?
Frank, you can't just do admin on air like
Sorry.
this. We're meant to be doing
Look,
the
I
show.
need a cup of tea. How many hints
Okay.
can I drop?
Can I tell you something that happened over the Christmas period? I stayed in Dorset with my dear friend Jane and her husband Jonathan and my godchildren, David Baddiel and family.
Your godchildren, David Baddiel and family. I had no idea. Is that allowed?
They popped in,
Okay.
which was lovely to see them. And I haven't seen David's son, Ezra, for some time.
Who's a big, handsome man now.
Well, not only is he a handsome man, he's very cool, isn't he? I mean,
Well, he
he's-
would be.
Well, he's just so self-assured. And we love both of them. I mean, I'm a big Dolly fan. But I don't know Ezra so well, and I was a bit intimidated by how cool he is.
Oh, right.
He's so slick.
What was the main sort of warning sign, the first sign of coolness?
Of the coolness?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, and I'm not saying that David's not cool. What would you say to that, Frank?
I don't think he's particularly cool.
Okay.
He used to be cool. At least he can say that. I've never been
it's just
cool.
a sort of cool sort of band thing. He's just very... And he said to me, I went to take a photo of him with my dog Ray, because he liked my dog Ray. And I took a photo and he said, I'll have a look at that. Can you... I said, I'll send it to you. He said, can you airdrop me? And because he was so cool, I sort of panicked and I didn't really know how to airdrop it.
I think I could do that.
Well, I normally can, but I panicked in the face of his coolness.
Okay.
So as I said, I'm just airdropping you now, and I was actually Googling how to airdrop.
No.
But airdropping is just, you just do it the
I
same,
know,
except
but
you get that little circle go around.
It didn't come up, and I forgot how to access it, and I panicked. Anyway, when he got the picture, I'd cut his head off a little bit, and I said, I don't think it's
He's quite tall.
Well, I said, I'm not sure it's very good, Ezra. Should we set up another one? We can take another one. You know what he said?
Go on.
He said, nah, it's a bit corporate doing that.
Ooh.
I love him. He's
Damn.
right.
Okay,
And
you won me over now.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure if he was cool.
Oh, God, big
He's cool.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
My kid, Bars, had many beautiful presents. The one that sticks in my memory is, he's absolutely obsessed with rock.
Yes.
Rock music. He got a Kiss waffle machine, which makes waffles with the face of Gene Simmons, the long-tongued, blood-spitting, fire-eating bassist of Kiss.
Tongue in or out?
Oh, very much out.
Yes.
And so we had several of those over the Christmas holidays. I hadn't had a waffle for ages.
Now, does the waffle tongue jut out from the border of the waffle, or is it contained within the circle?
It's raised. It's in relief, certainly.
Oh, I don't like that.
But it doesn't disrupt the circle.
No, it doesn't. Because once you close the lid, you couldn't have an extended 3D tongue.
Speak for yourself.
No. You don't want it to look like day one of construction of the Sydney Opera House. But it's I did it. It's a very enjoyable. They're not backward in coming forward when it goes to merch. Kiss. You can get Kiss almost
they've gone
everything.
down the Pierre Cardin in the 70s route.
Oh, is that what Pierre Cardin did?
Yeah, you'll see a lot of stuff on markets with Pierre's signature.
Really?
I think he sold his brand. Never sell your brand.
Oh, no, it's PC gone mad.
I have to say, hearing the name Pierre said in any other context than addressing me directly gives me a real horrible jolt every time.
Does it really?
It just never happens. It's not a common name.
Yes.
Apparently in France, it's a bit like being named Stanley.
Okay.
Or sort of Albert. Like, it's quite an odd...
Who's the most... Wait, apart from our beloved Novelli, when you think Pierre, who do you think, Frank? Who sits in the Pierre chair before our
That's
boy?
a good one. Who's in the Pierre chair? I like the idea of the Pierre chair. It sounds a bit French. It sounds like a French word, doesn't it?
Is it Trudeau?
Oh, it could be Trudeau.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Or Cardin? You decide.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Any famous Pierres, 8, 12, 15? What about Brighton?
Oh.
There we go.
Anyway, we haven't talked about the news other than my own personal news, and there's a sort of a theme that has run through this show since it began. Was it 13 years ago?
Yeah.
We have we often keep an eye on the both ends of a particular world record, and that is world's tallest man, world's shortest.
I see.
Man. I don't know why we've been very sexist with it. We never talk about the world's shortest or tallest women.
Well, it's the men that talk about it the most. Funny that. Funny that, eh?
Exactly.
You know what you lot are like.
But,
Ross Noble's he'll be gripped by this. It's one of his favourite things on the show.
Is that right?
Yeah, he loves it. He's a tall lad, isn't he, Noble?
Is he?
Not really.
Yeah, take that.
Not like
Big in my
Beanpole
eyes.
Sulemana at 29, as the Sun called him. Can you believe that the Sun referred to a man, potentially the world's tallest man, as Beanpole?
Yeah. I mean, we've discussed this before as maybe even a potential feature, that sort of slightly infantilizing journalistic language where tall people are beanpoles and everyone is scoffing chocks and
Yeah,
sort of
but
Beano language.
Yeah.
Well, and they'll say things like, when they refer to places like Hampstead, top people suburb.
Yeah.
Top
Yeah.
people. What do you mean by top people?
And you also get tycoons.
Yes.
You don't get them
Basically
anymore.
like Lord Snooty.
Yeah.
But, so...
Can we point out, Frank, just for some previous, just so that in case anyone doesn't know, there is the tallest man on record. This is very much my area, world's shortest and tallest man, was Robert Wadlow. Robert Pershing Wadlow.
Right.
I think he was 8'11"
I
from
think-
Illinois. Do you know who he is?
He's no
Frank?
longer with us, is he?
He's no longer with us. He died it's around the 40s, I think. He died. There've been other ones. There was the tallest man of the Holy Roman Empire, Anton de Frankenpoint.
Goodness.
Do you not know
Gosh.
him?
No.
Oh, he's
you
my
really
favourite.
have studied this.
He's my favourite, Frank. Do you not know about him?
Anton de Frankenpoint. How do you check the tallest man in the Roman Empire?
Holy.
Holy Roman
Oh,
Empire.
sorry, the Holy... Well, even so.
Yeah, even harder in a way.
Social media then was rubbish.
Various German scrolls.
There could be, hidden taller people all over
They
the Holy
think
Roman
he was
Empire.
the man. He reached 8 foot, the only person during that era.
Mm.
They know he died around 15.
I mean, there weren't that many buildings that were that. I mean, if he was inclined to peeping Tomery, he wouldn't need any excess equipment.
No, it's hardly peeping.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just what he sees.
Just elbow on your windowsill.
Say what you see, Anton.
Don't do that, Anton. Was it Anton?
Anton de Frankenpoint.
Herr Frankenpoint.
Yeah. Oh, Herr Frankenpoint was at my window this morning. Oh, God. I wouldn't mind, but he knows I've got a morganatic marriage. Is it morganatic?
Yeah.
Oh, well remembered, Frank. Yeah.
Frank Skinner.
Absolute Radio.
So, Beanpole Sulemana, I don't know his surname.
I'll tell you exactly his surname. Sulemana, I think is Abdul, I think maybe in there? Samed.
Okay.
Sulemana Abdul Samed. But you know what we can do for convenience, Frank, is call him Awuchi, which means let's go. That's his nickname. He likes to be called.
Oh, okay.
I told you I
and
know
he's
that.
Ghanaian, is that right?
Correct.
So he got measured at a clinic in Ghana as 9'6", which would blow a hole in the official world's tallest man.
Well,
So who is?
doctors estimated his height, and it's never good to hear an estimation from a doctor, I find.
No.
The official world's tallest man is currently Sultan Kozan.
Yes.
Okay? We haven't said that. He
okay.
is. How tall is he, Frank?
He's about 8'11", is he?
Is that right, Pierre?
8'3".
Oh.
Oh, I love.
Shorty.
Old Robert, was it Wadlow?
Yes.
He still reigns supreme. Is that him? He's the big mannequin in Ripley's Believe It or
Robert
Not.
Pershing Wadlow. Yeah, Ripley's is where Pershing's is a bit of an unfortunate middle name.
Is he?
Pershing's,
Well, I associate it with the
U.S. World War I
missile, I'm
general.
afraid. Yeah.
Oh, and the missile.
Yes.
Named after him as well, yeah.
Anyway.
Anyway,
So, yes, they estimated it. They hadn't got... Not unreasonably, they hadn't got a scale that went up past about 7 feet.
Fair enough.
Which just was fair enough. Although there is a thing that you can do, isn't there, with a protractor when you can... If you know the two sides of a triangle, you can calculate the other side.
I always thought that was absolute rubbish. I'm sorry. We did that in
You're a
maths, and I
Pythagorean
thought it was
skeptic.
absolute rubbish. They would say, "Oh, if you carry on
It's
from
about
here."
time someone spoke out about Pythagorean mathematics.
I absolutely think it's just completely.
You know, we all have to keep our mouths shut because of, the woke thing with Pythagoras.
There's been a conspiracy of silence.
I'll tell you
around
what it is, Frank.
Pythagoreans.
It's PT gone mad, is what it is.
It is.
And they say, if you extend this, will it? How will we know?
Well, I think if you know that the two sides of a triangle, like you say, if it was a building, I could tell you how tall the building was by working out the other two lengths. That's right, isn't it?
Right angle triangle.
Well,
yeah.
that's what they say.
Well, presumably he represents a right angle.
Yes, as long as he's standing up straight.
Beanpole Suleiman.
What I liked was Sultan Kozan, his response to this. He was furious.
Yes.
Absolutely livid.
To be fair, if you've been properly measured and that, and someone's saying, "Oh yeah,"
with
he
a
looks-"
protractor from
Couldn't they
someone's
have used
pencil
it?
case.
You think there might have been a snake nearby in Ghana?
What?
You know how snakes are supposed to do that thing if they're going to eat you? Sometimes they'll lie next to a sleeping man and make sure that he fits in them before they...
I like
Really?
sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, this is... God, have I made this up?
No, you haven't.
So if a man is sleeping and someone will say,
woman.
I don't want to worry you, Craig, but there's a snake lying next to you, obviously seeing if you'll fit inside him.
Yeah, it's sort of like a sort of tailor.
You know, I don't know about you, but like, say, sometimes if I'm buying a T-shirt, I think, I can't be bothered to try this on. I'll just hold it against me. That's what the snake does.
I do it with my dinners. Sort of hold them up against my chest and think,
Will that fit?
They've
No, but
had
they don't do much.
stories about snakes that haven't eaten for days and the owners have been worried. Is that right? And then they go to the vet, and the vet, as in a lot of these stories, always says, "Are you mad? That snake is clearly sort of weighing you up. It's preparing
Right.
itself to
To eat
eat
you."
Yeah, and you get the famous pictures of a snake with a big lump in the middle, and it's at a goat.
Yes.
And it's just waiting for it to digest. Like, when your duvet goes into like one section of the duvet cover. It's a bit like that. I hate that. It's one of my worst things. Absolutely one of my worst things. So, yeah, you'd think that they could have got a snake. Maybe they don't come that long either.
No.
I'm going to ask. I nearly said to Pierre, "What's the longest snake in
he'll
Ghana?"
know,
But
he'll
that's
know.
too much. That's too much, even for him.
Frank Skinner on
Absolute Radio.
So Sultan Kozan has been challenged
This is the official world's tallest
Yeah.
man.
by Suleiman Abdul Samed, a.k.a. Awuchi.
Yeah.
And Sultan responded, he didn't take this lying down. He doesn't take
No,
anything
it's-
lying down.
Yeah, it would seem,
snakes.
it would
The
seem a
Sultan.
shame if there's photographers around.
The Sultan said, "I have the biggest feet in the world. I wear size 61 shoes." And then he continued, which I think is fabulous. "My records are registered. I am World Cultural Heritage." Did you say that when you got your MBE?
I didn't. I believe the definition of a World Heritage Site is of outstanding value to humanity. I think it would be a bit boastful.
Yes.
I actually got to do some material about that when I was in Liverpool on tour. I don't know if you were still with me then, Pierre, on tour. But I got to do some anti-UNESCO material, which is not something that crops up very often in stand-up. But they had taken away Liverpool's World Heritage Site status, which had not gone down very well, obviously, with the citizens.
You got to stick it to UNESCO.
Yeah, they've been asking for it for a long time. So one thing that the official Sultan, the official world's tallest man, said, and I quote, "I will not lose my record to anyone. I'm determined about it." Now, I've always been a great champion of determination. How much it helps with this particular title, I don't know. Could I, by sheer eyes on the prize willpower, make myself the world's tallest man? No.
Suleimana was sort of saying that maybe I'll get it one day as well.
Yeah.
Yes, he did say.
But how old is he? He might still be growing.
He's 29.
He isn't still growing.
He says he is.
Oh, well, he might. I
believe he is.
I think he has a growth illness. Maybe that goes on forever.
Maybe that's right. Maybe that's what he meant.
He said because they sent someone out to officially measure him. There was a BBC reporter. What did he say when at passport control? And they said, "What is your purpose of your visit?"
Yeah, and why have you got?
I'm measuring them
Why
out.
have you got this 20-foot tape measure with you? Are you planning to eat someone? No, but
I'm measuring the world's
the
tallest
great
man.
story about
Hans
this.
Christian Andersen man.
The great thing about it, he was a BBC reporter, I think, who went there, and they couldn't. You know, when you measure a kid and you put the mark on the wall and then you measure, they couldn't find a building high enough for ages to put his mark on the wall. I mean, God. No wonder Kevin Spacey got that Usual Suspects job ahead of Suleiman.
Yes.
Because you need that wall
If
measure.
they couldn't find a wall high enough, imagine poor Anton Dufranc.
Oh, man, he's been in big trouble. He's got big feet, of course, as well, Suleiman.
Yes,
I don't know what size.
I do know.
What
Size 61, UK size. So just for
I
comparison,
thought it was the official one that's got 61.
that is official. Sultan Kozan is the official.
I'm going Suleiman.
Suleiman's not official.
I'm afraid.
Suleiman's the challenger.
I'm afraid the world's largest feet belong to someone else entirely.
It's you, isn't it?
What size?
I'd put my feet up on the desk in triumph, but I wouldn't want to injure anyone. No, it's
What size are you?
I'm UK size 12.
Oh, that's not so bad.
Okay, so by comparison, Sultan is UK size 26. Okay.
Oof.
Oh, okay. So not 61.
61 in European.
Oh, okay. So not so.
Not so what?
I'll tell you what would worry me about that. One thing that really winds me up is if I'm in a queue, people always seem to think that I'm the one that they want to squeeze. You know, when you walk through a queue to get somewhere else, they always say to me, "Excuse me," and I think, why is it always me who has to move in a queue? Do I just look like that weak, lily-livered guy who's all right? If you've got size 61 feet, it's like a gateway to those people. You're constantly going to be the person they walk in front of in the queue.
They're never sure if you're actually wanting to use the cash machine.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And exactly. And as for Suleiman, he wears shoes made out of tyres.
Yes.
Because his feet are so big.
Well, he can't get shoes to fit him, so they make them with nails. A local man makes them with nails.
And they out of. I mean, to be fair, it's recycled old tyres, but I wish when he's outgrown them, he'd stop leaving them at the side of motorways. Come on, litterbug.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've been talking about famous Pierres.
Well, we haven't because we couldn't think of any.
Yeah.
Well, we've got one here. We had a few. We had Pierre Cardin.
Oh, yeah.
Off air, I thought of Albert Pierrepoint, the world's last hangman, which wasn't quite as pushing
Not quite right.
No. Well, someone suggests the footballer Pierre van Hooijdonk.
Oh, yes.
But
Will you allow that?
Oh, yeah,
is
definitely.
it famous?
Will you allow Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang? I won't these days.
Well, I'm concerned. I think I could be completely wrong that he might be hyphenated.
He strikes me as hyphenated.
In which case, you could then say his first name was Pierre if he's tacked it onto something else.
No.
Okay.
That's it. We don't count the Jean-Pierres or the...
No, those guys.
We've got a message in regarding my comment about how the name is perceived in France, from what I've been told, from 9848. My father-in-law was called Pierre Guy, as in Guy. Okay. And he preferred to be called Guy because he thought Pierre sounded common. Sorry, Pierre. Happy New Year. Minnie and Nick.
See, I always assumed it...
Sorry.
Is it Peter? Have I got that wrong? It is Peter. Okay.
I love Guy.
Guy.
You see, the only other Guy I know is Guy Gomer. Do you know who he is?
No.
He was the man who was interviewed on BBC News. They mistakenly thought he was an employee of Apple.
Oh, yes, of course.
And he wasn't.
ghee is also a type of butter, just to clarify.
Lovely.
Well, just to clarify, I got it. I was a little late, but I thank God I got it before the in-breath. You got to get a joke before the in-breath. That's my slogan.
I own a Faz.
Do you? Where do you keep it?
Next to yours.
Okay.
Next to your MBE. In the theme of Metal Dad, I just went onto the Royal Mail website to track a parcel. Lovely. And discovered they are selling Iron Maiden special stamps and collectibles,
Yes, well,
including a signed framed stamp for £139.
Well, we've already pre-ordered you can get them cheaper than that. You get them for about $17.50.
You can with your connections now.
I don't have any connections with the Maiden.
Well, you have connections with the people on the stamps. The new lad.
Yeah.
What about the new lad on the stamp? You know him, Frank.
New kid on the stamps.
You said to Charles, what about if you see him?
Will he do a
The
sing?
last time you saw him, you said, what did you say? You said, I beseech you.
I did, yeah.
Can you remind us what you said?
No, well, he said he'd been reading comments on his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
And I said, I beseech you, because he's a prince. I don't do that. I thought he had to be protected from doing that.
It does need to be.
Because that would be some horrible stuff. I'm hoping he'll bring out a single in about 20 years called I'm Still Charlie on the Stamp. Like I'm Still Jenny on the Block, saying that he's managed to stay down to earth throughout his reign.
That warning might have been the start of your journey to
It might have been.
You know, because in medieval times, protecting the heir to the throne from harm would guarantee you some sort of some land or.
I think that's what it is. I think he said, "Do you know every stinking time?" And no one mentions it, and Frank Skinner did.
Yeah.
I think he's kept that in his head and thought, "I like him."
Yeah, you leapt between him and a rude comment online.
He's obviously a fan.
I took like laying down a cloak for Elizabeth I, that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, let me block that troll for you, milady. Hand me your phone.
But can you imagine the stuff he's likely to read if he starts reading comment?
No. Don't pull that embroidered thread.
No, exactly.
Especially not when you get your award.
No. Well, I won't be bringing that up. I'll be too busy asking him on behalf of the Catholic Church if we can have our old churches back.
Oh, don't bring that up.
Spirit of wokeness.
Ruin the day for everyone.
Thanks for listening to us. And if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now get out.
This is Frank Skinner. This is
Absolute Radio.